Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking a bit of time this afternoon or this morning to learn a little bit about LIFT and the Operation Next program that we are sponsoring in Detroit and around the country. Thank you for all of our panelists today. I'll introduce you in just a second. You know, we wanted to put this program together to talk a little bit about our Operation Next program this week, particularly as we're heading into Veterans Day on Wednesday. Veterans Day is important to us as LIFT. We want to show how we are helping our veterans. We have a number of veterans on our staff here in Detroit. And as one of the Department of Defense sponsored Manufacturing Innovation Institutes, it is important to us to really show how we're supporting those veterans in Detroit and around the country. So first of all, I want to start off by saying thank you for your service to all of the veterans who may be watching, maybe tuning in, both live and on the recorded version. We mean it. So thank you. We look forward to celebrating with you on Wednesday. My name is Joe Steele. I'm the Director of Communications and Legislative Affairs with LIFT. We are a Detroit-based Manufacturing Innovation Institute. I want to introduce our panelists before we go too much further. First on the docket is Eileen Pickett. Eileen is a talent development strategist with LIFT on the Education Workforce Development team, our talent team. She's been involved with Operation Next since its inception at Fort Campbell back in 2018. So thank you, Eileen, for joining us today. Next is John Watts. John is the military liaison staff supporting the Northern Middle Tennessee Workforce Board. John has been involved with Operation Next, I think, at Fort Campbell since the very beginning. And he's spent 20 plus years in workforce and economic development in Middle Tennessee and was instrumental in writing and attaining the Campbell Strong Workforce Partnership and currently going on at Fort Campbell. So John, thank you so much for joining us. And next is Mike Kepner. Mike is the director of advanced manufacturing programs at Valencia College in Florida. Mike has over 25 years of leadership experience, and as the director at Valencia College, the advanced manufacturing programs, he's responsible for accelerated training programs in advanced manufacturing and logistics designed to provide students with relevant technical skills and a career pathway into the manufacturing and logistics career fields. Before we get to our panelists, I do want to give you a quick introduction to LIFT and who we are and what we do. As I mentioned, LIFT is one of the National Manufacturing Innovation Institutes, one of the 16 institutes that are under the Manufacturing USA umbrella. LIFT is one of 9 institutes that is sponsored by the Department of Defense. We are a public-private partnership between the Department of Defense, industry, and academia. So how we operate. We are where manufacturing and technology matter. Our goal is to connect the materials, processes, and systems that drive rapid implementation of smarter manufacturing. We want to connect the materials, processes, systems to the talent needed because we know that the next region, the next area that successfully masters that is going to win in manufacturing going forward. So that's our manufacturing equation that we're trying to solve. We're trying to connect materials, processes, systems, and talent. We really have 2 programs at LIFT that tackle that equation. The first is Leading Innovations for Tomorrow. That is our technology program where we take innovations from MRL 4 to MRL 7. We're trying to help innovations cross that valley of death. They may have seen some success in the lab. They may have seen some small prototyping successes. We want to help commercialize those technologies and get them in the hands of industry and get them into the hands of the warfighter as soon as we possibly can. The second program, the talent program, is Learning Innovations for Tomorrow, and that's where Operation Next lives. That is where we're trying to make sure that the talent pipeline into the world of advanced manufacturing is robust and filled. We know that there's a skills gap in the advanced manufacturing world. Over 2 million jobs expected to be available in advanced manufacturing over the next decade through both retirements and just not enough folks entering those fields as careers. So we're trying to help expose advanced manufacturing to to current students, elementary, middle, high school students, as well as providing programs like Operation Next to help adult learners earn those certifications that can help them get their next job. So that is where LIFT is, and the two programs that we run in advanced manufacturing. I mentioned that we are a public-private partnership, and what does that mean? What do we do? Well, first of all, we are a trusted advisor. We are, as our CEO likes to say, we are Switzerland. We like to provide the best advice to folks, whether they be large companies, small companies, to help them move their advanced manufacturing processes into the future so they can be smarter about it. Talent developer, we're obviously going to get into that here talking about Operation Next, but we're developing new venues, tools, and teaching techniques to help infuse the talent pipeline with the people with the right skills, knowledge, and abilities to enter the advanced manufacturing field. We are a convener. Frankly, that's one thing we're doing here today. We bring together folks from the Department of Defense, other areas of government at the highest levels, to industry, to academia, to really move the needle in manufacturing. Technology Showcase, our facility in Detroit, 100,000 square foot facility, really shows the art of the possible and how you can connect materials, processes, systems, and talent. I encourage you to visit our website at lift.technology, take our virtual tour so you can look around the facility. And next time you're in Detroit, when it is safe to do so, I invite you to our facility to take a walk around and see what we're doing. We are a connector. I mentioned government, industry, academia, to really connect the ideas to the right people to make things happen. We're connecting the dots across the industry. And a technology accelerator. As I mentioned, we're taking these emerging technologies from advanced concept to commercialization so we can get them into the marketplace as soon as possible. Leading innovations for tomorrow, I mentioned our technology program focuses on these 4 pillars. There's more information on these on our website. I don't want to get into too much detail on these right now, but as you can see, our history of materials research, along with looking forward into the digital side with items like integrated computational materials engineering and agile and smarter manufacturing, while we're going back to our history of advanced alloy and process development along with multi-material joining. All of these are connecting the materials to the processes and systems. Our talent side, as I mentioned, is learning innovations for tomorrow. We have Ignite Mastering Manufacturing taking place in our LIFT Learning Lab that is at our facility, and our world-class certification programs where we're teaching folks and we're educating folks on CNC and welding, similar to what are happening at Operation Next. A little bit more detail on some of these. Ignite is a 3-year program. We had 150 students a day pre-pandemic going through our facility each and every day, taking part in this program, starting with material science, moving on to advanced manufacturing. All that's going on in the Learning Lab, which is really made of 7 different labs in all within our Detroit facility. I mentioned the world-class certification programs, CNC, welding, looking forward to bringing robotics on as well. And finally, Operation Next, which is why we are all here today to learn about that innovative program that is helping active duty soldiers within their last 6 months of service earn those nationally portable, recognized certifications. So with that, that's a quick overview of LIFT. Now it's time to bring on the panel, but before you do that, I encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Twitter, keep updated. If you do have questions afterwards, you can certainly contact us via our website. If you have questions about this program, please use the Q&A function that is available on the Zoom toolbar, and you can submit those, and we will facilitate that Q&A afterwards. But now, on to our panel. And first presentation, I'd like to invite Eileen Pickett to talk about Operation Next and the program. Eileen.
Great, thanks, Joe. Good afternoon or good morning, everyone, and I'm so pleased to be with you on in Veterans Day week, to talk about Operation Next. It's been really my privilege to be involved with Operation Next since the inception of the program several years ago, along with my colleagues at LIFT and Emily DeRocco and Jackie McSteen and others who have been involved in developing and rolling out the initial pilot and now the expansion of Operation Next. So Joe, take us to the next slide, and we'll talk first a little bit about the challenge that we're trying to at least somewhat address with Operation Next. So in their most recent manufacturing workforce study, Deloitte identified over 4.5 million manufacturing jobs available in the next 10 years or so. Huge number of jobs, with 2.5 million of those expected to go unfilled. And that's a reflection of baby boomers retiring, changes in the manufacturing environment, et cetera, but exacerbated by the fact that there's no pipeline following up. The math doesn't work. There aren't enough people to fill the jobs that are anticipated to be open over the next 10 years. And I will say too, these are pre-pandemic numbers. We anticipate that once all the dust settles from what we're currently going through, that these numbers may look even more dramatic and be even a larger need. So that shortage is in the commercial sector for sure, but it's also has implications for our national security and defense. So without a skilled manufacturing workforce, a ready manufacturing workforce, we've got challenges in terms of being able to keep our superiority where it is in terms of technology readiness, more reliance on foreign supply chains, et cetera. Workforce is really the most critical factor in being able to ensure that we have a strong defense industrial base. So that's the problem. That's the big challenge that manufacturers face and that our Defense Department faces. On the other side of that, we've got an opportunity. And the next slide shows that over 200 service members transition out of the military annually. So, and that number is relatively consistent. It'll ebb and flow depending on what's happening in the world, of course, occasionally. But for the most part, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 200,000 folks are leaving the military and moving into civilian life every year, about half of those from the Army. So our objective with Operation Next is to marry those two, the challenge with the opportunity. So our country's manufacturing companies need talent, separating military personnel, develop critical skills while they're serving. So Operation Next brings the two of those together, marrying the transitioning service member, preparing them with the skills they need so that they can thrive in an advanced manufacturing career. So a little bit more in depth about Operation Next. So it's a hybrid curriculum, which is a unique to a lot of learning programs in the market. So a significant portion of the training happens online at any time, anywhere, where anyone has an internet connection. So they're learning the theory of their particular program of study online. And it's not just reading, a text online. The online platform is provided by Amatral, and it has a very engaging multimedia, has simulations where individuals can actually do the work and make the electrical connections or whatever it might be before they get to the actual machine. So it's a very engaging online curriculum. And then they take those skills and put them to work on real-world equipment, real-world industrial equipment in a performance-based lab, so performance-based learning. So that combination is one of the unique attributes of Operation Next, that combined online and performance-based. And it's a competency-based program, not a time-based program. You don't have to sit in a class for a certain number of hours. It's competency-based. If as many of our folks who transition from the military do, if you have skills or knowledge already in a particular field, you can move very quickly through the program and not have to relearn what you already learn or can do. And then once completed, once they've finished Operation Next, they receive, and we think this is really important, this is one of the key tenets as well, they earn a nationally portable, industry recognized credential. And that means that they can take that anywhere in the country and manufacturers and employers will recognize the value of what they've learned, and so they can plug into a job with great career potential. So that's sort of the overview of what Operation Next is. So currently we have 3 majors in the program. And these 3, the corresponding occupations that go along with these majors are the most in-demand occupations in manufacturing across the country. So it's CNC operations, industrial technology maintenance, and our newest addition, which is welding. And that's actually just getting off the ground. And I know we'll hear a little bit about what they're planning, excuse me, at Fort Campbell for welding. So that's currently our 3 majors. So the next slide, we'll talk just a little bit more about why Operation Next is a little bit unique. And I've hit some of this already. The combination of online with the performance-based learning is really important. Operation Next is available to individuals, currently available to individuals within the last 6 months of service. And we are an Army Skill Bridge program. So we had to fit into a certain time frame, but then within the time frame, because the people are transitioning out, but within the time frame, there's a significant amount of flexibility, again, given the competency-based focus of the program, not having to, it's self-paced, and you do not have to relearn what you already know or already can do. I spoke about the nationally portable credentials. The credentials currently are available for CNC operators and for the industrial technology maintenance. Those credentials are conferred by the National Institute of Metalworking Skills, known as NIMS. And the welding credential is a certified welder credential, which comes from the American Welding Society. So again, that's so important. We think that folks can leave the gate, as it were, and start their civilian careers with a credential that has real value in the job market. And the next slide sort of walks you a little bit through the journey of the individual, and you can just pull it all up, Joe, and I'm just going to talk generally to it, sort of how it works for an individual. And as we talk to folks, and John may speak a little bit about recruiting folks into the program. He's going to talk about what they've done at Fort Campbell with Operation Next to date. So helping folks to understand what the potential of the careers are. These are foundational skills that we're preparing folks for with Operation Next, but connecting to the folks who are transitioning out and yet helping them to get an understanding of what the opportunity in advanced manufacturing is. And then there's the self-assessment, and that happens all along the way in the curriculum, where individuals, again, if they already know something or they already have the skill or competency, they don't have to relearn it, they can move quickly forward through it. They select their major, they work through the program, ultimately getting to that recognized industry credential and into the job market. We think it's really critically important that the business community is engaged, and that folks, as they're going through training, have the opportunity to understand what these jobs really are like, to understand what the manufacturing environment is and what it isn't. Often there are misperceptions about that. So one of the tenets, as we are now looking at the expansion of Operation Next, is thinking about how to really strongly engage employers in the business community all along the way, not at the end when someone's gotten their credential, but all along the way, building those relationships and developing that understanding of manufacturing careers. So once the program was developed, and again, multiple partners that I've mentioned, Amatrol, NIMS, American Welding Society, working with LIFT, to create the curriculum and package it in this way that would be, we thought would be compelling for folks who are transitioning out. We piloted the program at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about that because John is going to talk about it. But I will say that it was a very successful pilot, and that led to our conversations with the Department of Defense. And they have now tasked us with the expansion and scale of Operation Next. So that's where we are now. And the next slide will lay out some of the, so I'll talk quickly about the strategies. So it's replicate, expand, adapt, and add. And we can go to the next one, Joe, first. And so the very first and really relatively simple thing to do is to open the program to military spouses. And we know that military spouses face unique employment challenges with a spouse that is maybe often moving or deployed or whatever that situation might be. And that is challenging sometimes for employers who are looking for long-term employees. We believe that armed with these nationally recognized credentials, that the potential for spouses to gain really lucrative and engaging manufacturing employment really increases. So opening up to manufacturing spouses is one strategy. The next one is really replication. So taking what, essentially taking what we have done at Fort Campbell to additional military installations. And Fort Campbell is an Army installation. We are not Army restricted to Army. We want to expand to other branches as well. Our program time span is 3 years. And we're looking to expand to 9 additional physical installations over 3 years. And I've identified some of these criteria for success. We're looking for a place that has lots of transitions, transitioning folks. Fort Campbell is one of the larger bases and has significant numbers of folks. Very important to have supportive regional and military leadership. Got to have a great performance-based learning partner. And again, I go back to that engaged business community, so important. So over the span of the 3-year timeframe of this project, we're aiming for having 1,500 folks on these 9 bases go through and complete Operation Next and move on to those manufacturing careers. The next expansion, and we're going to hear a little bit about this from our first partner in this expansion strategy, which is adapting Operation Next for the National Guard and Reserve. And it's different, obviously. They're not transitioning out of the service. They're continuing to serve while they work. Often, members of the Guard and Reserve are, as we would call it, underemployed. They have the opportunity to potentially skill up to move a little further along on a career ladder. And we believe, again, that the credentials are really important, that sometimes employers have concerns about folks who may be deployed or have to go for training and that kind of thing. And so having that kind of time off. But we believe, and we get this positive feedback from employers, that having that high value credential really outweighs that concern. They know these folks have these really critically important skills and can bring those to the workplace. So we're going to pilot with the National Guard and Reserve in 3 states. We are, and Mike Kepner is our very first in Florida, and he'll talk a little bit about what their plans are. We're also talking with the National Guard and Reserve in Michigan, and we'll be identifying a 3rd state to do this pilot. We think there's great potential for expansion there as well. And then the final expansion strategy is adding another curriculum. And actually, I mentioned that welding was one of the curricula that are on the program now, that are on the platform now. And that's very new, and that was really part of this expansion program. We're also, though, going to add a robotics curriculum and credential. And we have been working for the last 6 months or so on identifying the right robotics curriculum that can fit and that works with the model and the platform that Operation Next is. So gets folks these really critically important foundational skills, can be done within the time frame that we have, is a performance-based curriculum, and leads to a valuable credential. So we are not quite there with putting that on the platform, but we anticipate early 2021 that we will have the robotics curriculum up and available to new partners. So that's the expansion. I think the other thing that I'd like to mention, because I think it's really telling, it's hard to sort of describe the uniqueness. I've tried, but so I hope you get a sense of it, the flexibility and the fact that it's accelerated, et cetera. So we recently received some support from NIST to further adapt Operation Next for incumbent and dislocated workers. This was really their focus, was what can we do for individuals impacted by the pandemic. And again, because the platform and the curriculum is so flexible, we believe that it really could be something that could help people move on and prepare for higher wage and better job opportunities in manufacturing. So we're piloting also, sort of separate from the military program, but we're piloting Operation Next in 2 regional economies, one in Pittsburgh and one in Detroit, with civilian folks, folks who are already in a workplace but need to skill up, or folks who may have been dislocated because of challenges related to the pandemic. So that's also just getting underway, and we'll be anxious to share those results as we go forward. So that is my story, sort of the overview, and happy to take questions, et cetera, at the end of the program.
Thank you, Eileen. And now you understand why Operation Next is near and dear to our hearts here at LIFT. I encourage you to visit the LIFT website as well as the Operation Next website at opnextjobs.com to learn a little bit more about the majors that are available, read more about the pathways that Eileen went through. And yes, we were very pleased to be able to help out with this pandemic that we're all going through, with the funding from NIST through the CARES Act that was passed by Congress and signed by the President earlier this year, to train those workers and provide opportunities for those small companies to get back off the ground after this pandemic in Detroit and Pittsburgh. So taking it out of the military into industry for the first time was important. So awesome. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to bring John Watts onto the program to speak about the success that we've had at Fort Campbell. And as was mentioned, that was the pilot location for this program. So it took a long time and some work to get off the ground, but we're very pleased to have done so. And we met our goal with our pilot a while back, and that again was enabled us to get go through the expansion that Eileen talked about. So John,
thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate it. And to everyone out there on this Veterans Day week, please take Wednesday and remember the veterans. Thank a veteran. Think of our military and those who have paid the unfortunate ultimate price to protect our nation and other nations across the world. Well, for example, here at Fort Campbell, if you're not familiar, it's the home of the 101st Airborne Division. There's about 28,000 plus soldiers on the installation. The installation crosses 2 state lines, Kentucky and Tennessee. I'm over on the Tennessee side, and we were able to partner with Eileen back in 2018 to get this off the ground. It's part of what the Department of Defense, at least on the Army side, is talking about a career skills program. And what that is that soldiers who are in their last few months of active duty Army prior to their end of term of service are authorized by their commanders to go to certain training during the day while they are still active duty in the military. And it's called, again, the Career Skills Programs. And here at Fort Campbell, there are 16 different programs that soldiers can go to, everything from welding to Hiller plumbing, to some information technology classes, to CDL, and of course, Operation Next, which brings us into the industrial technology maintenance and CNC machining. And so a soldier turns around, and primarily the ones that we have seen in these 2 areas are mechanics. These are the guys and gals who fix things, who maintain things. For the people who are in the military, under the occupational specialties that all of us military people have, they're called MOSs, military occupational specialties. In the Army side, this is basically the 15 guys, the 91 and 94s. They're wheeled vehicle mechanics, people that fix the front end loaders, generators, generator mechanics, helicopters, of which we have many, many helicopters here on Fort Campbell. Those keeping those things running and fixing all the time as they begin their transition out of the military. They are still interested in fixing, and they have to put together a lot of military experience in it. Additionally, the people that we normally see that sign up for these programs are what we call first termers, guys and gals who have been in maybe 4 or 5 years or so, specialists, sergeants in their mid-20s, trying to get now into the civilian career that has aligned with their military career. Fixing things, making things, and CNC machining and industrial maintenance technology are lining up perfectly with them. We have made placements across the board with companies all across the nation, and in Tennessee and Kentucky with Alfina, Genova Manufacturing, Halliburton, Metalsa, LG Manufacturing, Kentucky Petroleum. So this program, this Operation Next, is not just touching a few companies, it's touching companies all across the nation. And we're placing these people all across the nation, and some of them want to go back to Idaho, California, where their families are from, and still get into advanced manufacturing. One of the things that we have seen that is very interesting across the board is a little bit of a trend now on the CNC machiners that are becoming entrepreneurs and setting up their own internal companies, connecting as subcontractors to larger companies, and they're starting their own. And entrepreneurship for a young soldier who's getting out, those who are starting a new career, their first civilian career, has been very exciting. The wages that we're tracking are $22 to $27 an hour starting, which is very good compared to a lot of their peers getting out. And I want to emphasize once again what Eileen has said, the National Institute of Metalworking Skills, national credential that soldier, now civilian, is taking to their business and industry and say, here, hire me. I am a skilled, nationally recognized individual. That skill, that certification, that credential that is portable has been extremely important on giving a soldier who may not have attended some type of course like this, that one up, getting them hired because that manufacturer knows that they can meet the needs of that manufacturer there. Next slide, please. One of the other things too that's absolutely been key to this, we talked about that this was the pilot project for those who are listening here today who are interested in developing a relationship with their military posts, their military base, their port, their soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines on there, and also being involved in education. Number one, it is absolutely critical to make sure that you make a good relationship with your garrison staff. The people who run the city of your post, the city of your base, your port, your air base, those people are key to allowing the Operation Next, to allow those career skills programs to flourish and allow you as a civilian to come onto the base to help to speak to your soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines that are transferring out to the civilian career, those who are going to allow you to meet with them and recruit them and begin that process of aligning them to this course that Operation Next and LIFT has put together. The second key area is to have a good educational system. We work with, you see here on the Tennessee College of Applied Technology and Hopkinsville Community College. The TCAT, the guys over here on the right in Tennessee, that is your one-year VOTEC type school. And Hopkinsville Community College is your 2 years type of school. Hopkinsville Community College, we're very excited about starting the AWS welding course here starting in the January timeframe in 2021. And we've been working with Tennessee College of Applied Technology for the CNC and industrial technology maintenance. The key here is that LIFT already has the curriculum. They deliver the curriculum to the college, to your one-year vo-tech school, and they then meld that in according to what the curriculum says and what the Department of Defense allows. For example, here at Fort Campbell under the DoD rules, soldiers are not allowed to leave the installation and attend any training off the installation until 9 o'clock. The school itself starts at 8. Well, the school has to be flexible enough to manage their course, both for civilians and for the transitioning soldiers. So you'd have this soldiers starting at 9 and their civilians starting at other times. That's just one example of how important it is to have this partnership and flexibility. And the last thing is the LIFT guys and gals themselves. They're the ones out there putting together the curriculum, making the connections at the national level and bringing those things to the table, because the local educational institutions may have longer training facilities out there, but they can't allow a soldier to spend a year and a half going to some level of training. This is fast-paced, down and dirty, hands-on, plus self-paced training and curriculum that's being provided in the 12 to 14 week course. And I can tell you in our pilot project that we started with, it's now gone national. We couldn't have done it without the Operation Next. Key is garrison, education, and LIFT. The last thing, the spouses, very excited about that. We hope to get that off the ground very quickly. We're still undergoing some COVID issues with numerous kids still at school, but the other half of the kids are being home-based. That has put a little bit of a hold right now on some of the spouses coming into this, but we do have some thoughts about how to launch this thing a lot earlier than we had planned and get it going here in early January timeframe. Joe, at this time, the defense rests.
Thank you very much. And the discussion of partnerships, as I mentioned, LIFT is a public-private partnership as it is. So we're a membership-based organization. We know how important it is to work with those partners, whether they be industry, government, or academia. So we couldn't have gotten this off the ground without those partners. You mentioned at Fort Campbell. And one thing I wanted to mention, John, is that the pilot that we had there, initially the goal was to graduate 101 in honor of the 101st that is down there at Fort Campbell. And it's my understanding that 90% plus were able to go to industry right away. So
that is correct. We were very, very proud of that. It was just gangbusters, and we couldn't have done it without all the partners across the board.
So that's good news. And again, one of the reasons why we're able to expand this program to states and bases around the country. And speaking of expansions, I want to bring Mike Kepner from Valencia College to the presentation podium now to talk about Valencia and why Fort Campbell made sense for them and for its ecosystem down there in Orlando. So Mike, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. Speaking of partnerships, I want to be a big shout out to Eileen and Joe for bringing us on board. It is what we think is going to be an incredible opportunity for Central Florida. A little bit about the college and what we do and why this is the right fit for Valencia. Earlier, Eileen talked about the Deloitte survey with the 4.5 million jobs that were going to be out there with 2.5 million on field. About 6 years ago, we recognized the same thing, and we started a series of accelerated skills training programs, which are in line with the Operation Next philosophy. They are hands-on training. It is nationally recognized credentials. We use the NIM certifications that are part of the Operation Next. Everything we do is fast training. It's not cheap, it's fast. 4 to 18 week programs that bring students in and teaches them the skills they need to go out and start. And the other piece of it that I think is critical when you talk partnerships is we're a little bit different in our program. The Advanced Manufacturing Accelerated Skills Program is on the continuing education side of the college. So I'm on the non-credit side of the college. So I can move a little bit quicker with industry collaboration on curriculum. And why that's so important to an Operation Next kind of mindset, and I think John and his folks can do support Campbell a little bit as well, is we're training a hometown talent. As we adapt, to use the proper terminology from Eileen's presentations, we adapt to the reserve and the guard. Using local industry collaboration, we can make the tweaks to our curriculum that is going to make this specific to the area we're training the reserve and the guard for. So it's very specific to our local area. So you go to the next slide, Joe. I'm just going to talk to you about why this is important to Florida. As we looked at what happened, so a little bit of a history lesson. Back in February of 2020, prior to COVID, a partner of ours and one of our training providers, Mr. Rye Yeager, reached out. He was at a LIFT conference up there in Old Detroit. And said, "Hey, Mike, have you ever heard about this Operation Next program?" Which led to a conversation. And Rod came down to visit, and little did I know that as we walked through the floor and talked about the program, and I said, "You know what you guys are doing with the active component is great, but what are we doing for the reserves and the guard? What are we doing to reach the homegrown talent?" Because with an active duty service member, and I was one of them, when I retired from the military, I didn't know where I was going to live. I didn't know where I was going to go, but I knew I wasn't staying at Fort Stewart, Georgia. I did not want to stay in the swamp of Stewart, of Hinesville. Great area, but not for me. John laughs because he knows the story. But a lot of our active duty service members transition and do the same thing. They'll take the training, then they go back home, and they start there. With the reservists, we are training a homegrown talent that is specific to our local area. So we had that conversation, and Rod went back and he had a conversation with Eileen and Emily, and the next thing I knew, there was a phone call, and found out we were part of a strategic pillar that they were already putting together. And this thing kind of started going like wildfire. So why is it important to Florida? Florida is home to more than 20,000 manufacturing companies. Florida is so much more than just a theme park. I retired here for the theme park and got here and discovered the education world. And what I discovered was manufacturers are craving veterans and service members to join their ranks. It is the most sought after population because of the other skills that we bring. It's not just the manufacturing, but it's the soft skill side of it that a veteran brings to a company, leadership and all the other aspects that make them so important. So we started out with a very robust training plan to bring veterans into our programs. And if you look at Florida as a whole, we're second among all U.S. states for space, aerospace, parts manufacturing, the third largest veteran population in the United States. When you look at what's going on with our reserves and our guard, there are more reserves and guard in the Central Florida area than I know what to do with. And I say that because there's so many of them. The 143rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command is right here at hometown, and they have units all across the southeastern United States. Why is that important? Because we've developed what I call the post-COVID educational plan, because prior to COVID, everything we did was hands-on. And the one thing that COVID taught us as an institution was that we could do this in the hybrid model that Operation Next wants to conduct this curriculum in now. So we're prepared for the online with the Amatron LMS, and then the hands-on laboratories in our facilities here in Central Florida. And what we think this brings us with the partnerships that we have, we are in a very unique situation. We've been doing this for 5 years. Our placement rate for our programs today is 86%. And why that's important is because our partners working through the Manufacturers Association of Central Florida include major Department of Defense contractors, a Lockheed Martin, but as well as some other of your large box distribution companies that are all talking about hiring veterans every day. So we think there's a very clear talent pipeline to those companies and to those organizations for the reservists and the guardsmen to get past what Eileen talked is your underemployment. So we think our why, and when you look at that big question, why, that's what Joe really told you. He said, Mike, just talk about your why. The why is out of our accelerated skills staff, 66% of us are veterans. 66% of our staff and our instructors are veterans. We gravitate to this training because it's what we knew in ANOC. It's what we knew in PLDC. It's what we knew in our basic courses. That why is why we do this, because we're still giving back to the community. And now we're going to take that in partnership with Operation Next and our partners through the Manufacturing Association of Central Florida, Amatrol with their LMS, and the NIM certifications that we're already doing, is we are going to be able to reach a population and bring them to a level of sustainable and economic security that they may not know right now. So I think Florida is uniquely situated for this. We've got some great folks on board through our Manufacturing Association and Florida Makes. They're going to help make this a reality. I would again just like to say to Eileen and to Joe and all the folks out there at Operation Next and Lift, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this, and we look forward to changing the future.
Well, thank you very much, Mike, and thank you for your service as we and such a high percentage of staff members. I didn't realize that your staff members had such a high percentage of veterans there. So please extend our thank you to all of them. So we did have some questions that came in. I'd like to address those to the group. If you do have questions, please use the Q&A function that is available here on the Zoom platform. I think we kind of covered this, but I want to send it out to Eileen and John just to reiterate, and actually maybe Mike as well, but let's start with Eileen, just to talk about the ability to execute training and curriculum in various regional locations. Is the curriculum limiting in any way to where folks want to start their next career? We heard from John, they may be based down at Fort Campbell in Kentucky, but want to go back to California. They want to come back to Michigan. Can you talk just expound upon the nationally recognized credentials that are involved in this program and what goes in there?
Sure. Yeah, the sky's the limit. So again, going back to the nationally recognized credentials. So these credentials are recognized by employers across the country. So completely portable, and the jobs, the numbers of job openings are also relatively evenly distributed across the country. So if you want to move home, you've got a particular destination in mind, you can take that credential with you and are very likely to find job opportunities available to you. There are, and I think Mike sort of spoke to this, engaging the employers is important. So these are foundational careers. So we would anticipate, and these credentials are stackable. So folks can earn several different stackable credentials within their learning program, but then once they've started their career, they can add to that, and that builds that career pathway. So we really aren't preparing folks just for that first job. We're really preparing them with foundational skills upon which they can build by adding additional credentials or learning within their employer, and so those regional kind of flavors can be added that way as well as they're engaged with regional employers. And with welding, for example, there are a variety of different kinds of welding. I'm not going to talk too much about this because someone may ask me a question that I will not know the answer to, but so it's a different thing to weld a beam for a building versus welding on a ship, for example, right? It's two different kinds of welding. And the program within the welding platform allows that flexibility. So if we're teaching this program in a region that has a significant need for a ship type welding, we can make that match, so to speak. So hopefully that sort of answers.
Yeah, that does. John, can you talk a little bit about, we know that Mike mentioned he's dealing with and working with homegrown talent that's there, folks that are, for the most part, established in the Central Florida area, being in the Garden Reserve there. Can you talk about the percentages, maybe, if you could guesstimate? I don't know if you have it offhand, but how many folks, stayed close to Fort Campbell and how many decided to go, maybe they wanted to go back home or maybe they wanted to go live on the coast?
Sure.
Where they.
Sure. Looking at the data that we have right now, I'd say about 40% or so are staying within a 50-mile radius. We've got Nashville about 50 miles from us, so we have a lot of automotive manufacturing up and down what I call the I-64-24 corridor in Nashville. So there's a lot of advanced manufacturing in this portion of the world. But again, soldiers and of course sailors, airmen, Marines, all they want to go back to their home. They joined for 4 years, 5 years, or they did 2 tours, whatever, and it's time for them to head back to the house. And I will tell you that national certification is so important. And I'm going to sort of make one up here, but let's just say if a soldier got out and he was in the Signal Corps and did some information technology and went to a private institution here in the local area called Sunrise. I'm making this up a little bit. He then goes back to Chicago and says, well, I've got a certificate from Sunrise and they have given it to me in web design. Well, that employer's going, who is Sunrise? Why did you get that? But if he went to Sunrise and got a Microsoft certification in web design and then showed that to his employer in IT, and that's exactly what NIMS is doing. NIMS and Operation Lift they may get a training institution that somebody has never heard of. They may not have heard of the Tennessee College of Applied Technology in Clarksville, but they sure as hell heck know what a NIMS certification is. And so that gives that guy or that gal who's getting out of the military, trying to convert what he's done in the military, repairing generator mechanics, repairing wheeled vehicles, and then turning that into a civilian skill set with that. It is just absolutely win-win. And the guys down there at Valencia will figure that out almost immediately.
Mike, I wanted to jump in with another question. Speaking of the credentials, and you're obviously on the campus of a college and are directing these advanced manufacturing programs. So how does this fit into where someone wants to be in 5 or 10 years? We talked about these credentials, but where does it go? So that helps immediately, right? So where does that go down the road? How does that progress?
Yeah, so one of the unique things about where we are, what we're doing, so the credentials themselves, they are national. Students that graduate our programs from the Space Coast to Seattle is where they've all gone to get employed. But the way we've built the model here, Joe, because we have been doing this now for about 5 years, we've kind of adopted the military model of lifelong learning. And you'll start out in one of these short-term training programs, earn these nationally recognized certifications, but then those programs, those certs will articulate into college credit hours. So while you're just going to be a welder, if you complete our welding program, you've earned X number of college credit hours already towards an AS degree. So each one of our programs is aligned to that college degree. So we talk about the lifelong learning model. You start out, you get your industry certifications, you start your career, and then as you progress in your career, you come back and finish your degree that 9 times out of 10 your company will pay for. And that's how you continue advancing through the ranks, and that's how the credits keep building up for you as you go down this pathway.
We only have a couple minutes left. John, do you have any? So you guys have had the bulk of the graduates of the program so far. Obviously, Mike is just getting rolling. Do you have any data in terms of who has been taking up, and is it more men than women? Are there women involved? Are there racial data in terms of who's taking up? Maybe you don't have that, but are you tracking that?
On the racial data, it is a complete mix from Caucasian, Black, Hispanic, Latino, but it is primarily male across the board. Most of the mechanics that are in support battalions, support brigades, things like that, are male. We have not seen a tremendous amount of females come in yet. But we did have some in the CNC side of the house. Hopefully, we will be looking at, now that it's opened up to spouses, trying to link them up with the careers in our normal industrial park I think one of the things to get the ladies to understand is how clean manufacturing, and Mike down there mentioned aerospace, how probably immaculately clean aerospace technology is as compared to the old days on manufacturing. And I think that's something in controlled environments that the spouses and the ladies will like. But again, it's predominantly first-termer mechanics and male.
Excellent. I know that. So as the program goes on, as we get into the Garden Reserve, I'm sure that those demographics will continue to evolve, and we'll see, maybe more balance there as well. And again, opening up to family members is important there too. I know we just have another minute or two. This has been a really good presentation. I appreciate that. But I just wanted to reemphasize that this is a program that has been underway at LIFT or through LIFT, thanks to the support of the Department of Defense for a couple of years now. And really, the reason we are a national manufacturing innovation institute is connect the technology and the talent, and I think that's what this program is doing. It's really showing that this is a program where the rubber is meeting the road, and we are seeing that we're seeing these folks get credentialed, coming out of the military or staying in the reserves and guard. So they might not have left yet, but having that military background and being able to transition to the advanced manufacturing world. I mean, that's why we're here, and that's it's certainly great to see it grow. So it has started off as a pilot, but now growing down to Florida, into Detroit, over into Pittsburgh, and we're looking forward to having more of those. So thank you very much. I appreciate the panel. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so thank you very much for the panel. If you do have questions, please follow up with us offline. You can connect with us at lift.technology or through the OpNext website at opnextjobs.com. So thank you to Eileen, thank you to John, and thank you to Mike. And most of all, thank you very much to all the men and women who have served. We are very thankful for you. Wouldn't be able to do this and be here without the service that you provided. So thank you very much, and we appreciate all of you. Hope everyone stays safe and have a great rest of the day.